Stand up. Be a father. Be proud of what you brought into this world. And with that being said, I'll see y'all at the top because the bottom is too crowded. Take care.
All right, if you would, join me in, let's give Mr. Carter another hand, please. Those were some really, really powerful words, inspirational. And as men, we need to have our cup filled. And so anytime we have that opportunity, it's a blessing.
I'm going to ask Mr. Carter, if you would come back, if you would stop Mr. Carter, please, one of the staff members. Yes, sir. Just have just a small token of appreciation for you. We understand that you're in the process of ruling the world and everything. So. But on behalf of DeKalb County DFACS, Region 14, DeKalb and Fulton Counties, Department of Human Services, we'd like to just present this small token of appreciation. It says First Annual Fatherhood Launch 2014 Keynote Speaker, Mr. Henry M. Carter. Appreciate it, man.
All right. This is a wonderful, wonderful opportunity. We're going to continue on with the agenda, and we have a few guest agencies represented. You know, we talked about collaboration is going to be important. And one of the things, if you would, let's all keep this on the radar. The economic issue for men is huge. As we begin working with fathers, we have to prepare ourselves as professionals, as agencies, to respond to men who are unemployed or either underemployed. Men's ability to provide for their children directly connects with their willingness to be involved with their children and their families. So as agencies, as service providers, we can't overlook this economic issue. And we got some wonderful resources here, so if you haven't been there yet, please be sure to take a look at some of the tables. Especially, there's a table back there, I saw something about bonding. So when we consider fathers who may have arrest records, felony records, there are services available, so please take advantage of some of the information that's here. With that in mind, we're going to introduce some of the guest agencies that are represented, and we're going to give you an opportunity if you'd like to maybe share a few words. All right, wonderful. With us today, we have the Department of Labor, the TOP STEP program. If you would, let's welcome Mr. Eric Frazier. Mr. Frazier? All right, this is right on time. Because when I was referring to a table, if I'm not mistaken, Mr. Frazier has some perfect information regarding this economic issue, employment opportunities for men. Thank you, Mr. Frazier.
Welcome, everyone. I'm Eric Frazier, and I'm the Top Step representative in DeKalb County for the Georgia Department of Labor. Our Top Step stands for the Ex-Offender Probationer Parolee State Employment Program, but we'll work with anyone with any level of criminal history. And the gentleman mentioned federal bonding. Now, a lot of people don't realize that many employers, in order to hire an individual, has to actually have a bonding insurance. Now, over the last 20 years or so, it's become increasingly difficult for ex-offenders to receive bonding insurance. And that's one of the main reasons you're going to see on many applications, the questions. Have you ever been convicted of a felony, or have you ever been convicted of whatever? Now, the state of Georgia, through the Department of Labor, provides bonding insurance free of charge to anyone who falls into the category of an ex-offender. And this may also surprise many people, but credit history also may affect your ability to become hired or to be bonded to work, and also the length of time that you may have been out of work. So actually, it's not just for ex-offenders. Any situation in your background that may hinder you from becoming employed because of bonding issues, you may be covered through this bond. And again, there's no cost to you. You just have to come to your local Department of Labor office and let someone know that you would like bonding letters that you will present to employers in your job search. And the employers will call us and let us know that they would like to get you bonded, and we can get you bonded and insured on the spot right there. And if you've got any questions, I'll go into more detail at the table in the back here. We have services for veterans also. I've got some information on veterans at the table. And any questions you may have in particular, just see me. And I also have been working with fatherhood programs throughout DeKalb County, so I'm not new to the whole, issue of fatherhood development. So any questions you may have, ex-offender or not, feel free to see me, and I'll try to give you as much information as I can.
All right, thank you, Mr. Frazier. And you know what's interesting? I have an opportunity to train a lot of case managers, and whenever they hear about this program, they're excited because a lot of the men that they're working with, that's one of the barriers. They have criminal background and sometimes unable to secure sustainable employment. And we want sustainable employment because keep in mind, this is about assisting us to take care of our children financially. So this is a wonderful opportunity that you have to hear about these different programs and services. With that in mind, if you would, let's welcome from the Atlanta Workforce Development Program, Mr. Doug Greenwell. Thank you, Doug.
Good afternoon. Like my colleague up front, I'm a former DFACS employee also. And when I was with DFACS, the fatherhood program was just beginning. And we didn't have any of the ideas or any of the excitement or any of the expertise that's in this room today. I've been very challenged and very inspired by what I've heard. It's good to see you doing such wonderful things. I'm really not a workforce development guy. I'm on a little contract doing some work there on a special project. But is there someone in the room from the DeKalb Workforce Development Program? Okay, well, let me tell you, that's a great resource. There's one in Atlanta, Fulton, DeKalb, every county. The Atlanta Regional Commission has offices in all of the metro counties except DeKalb, Fulton, and Atlanta, which each have their own separate agency. The Atlanta office has a special counselor and is working on special programs for ex-offenders. So you can visit the Workforce Development Office wherever you live, and you'll find the same kinds of resources that I'm going to mention to you here today. Every Monday morning, we have what we call orientation. 9 o'clock, you come in, register, and listen to what's available at that particular time in the Atlanta area in terms of job opportunities. Once you hear all of that on Monday and fill out all kinds of applications, we let you know that on Tuesday morning, certain employers are going to be at the office interviewing people, hiring for jobs they have open. So Monday morning you can come and apply. Tuesday morning you can come and meet the employer, and maybe by Wednesday you can put that hard hat on and go to work. Okay? These agencies are here. They have resources. Much of it is federal money available. It's the Workforce Investment Act that the federal government operates. The money comes and is available to help people who are unemployed. A program special consideration given to veterans and spouses of veterans. Special programs for the people with criminal background issues. I want to tell you that there is money in the bank for what's called on-the-job training at the Workforce Investment Agency. If you go there and you get hired through them, they sweeten the pot a little for the employer to help train you to do whatever you don't know about the job that you're being hired to do. And so in Atlanta, we can pay up to 90% of your salary. In DeKalb, I think they pay up to 50% of your salary. Don't count. I may not be telling the truth. I'm just telling you what I think is true. Don't ever trust what I think. But there is money available, and certainly employers like to have that incentive. Like you say, it gives you some time for a tryout on the job, extends your interview process a little longer, make sure you can do what needs to be done, then the employer pays the thing. Now the check to you comes from the employer, and we reimburse the employer for whatever portion is considered on-the-job training. It's an excellent idea. We have youth programs. So if you know young fathers, 14, 15, 16, we have youth programs that do both education and job skill development for young people, called Youth Build at our place, and it's Youth Build probably in most places around, but there are other youth programs as well. We'll help you learn a little bit about the computer. We have several different laboratories full of computers where you can come and access all this online information, where you can learn a little how to punch those keyboards and make something pop up on that screen and find some things that might be of value to you, and you can use those machines if you don't have your own or have good access to your own that works very well. Those of you that have been working, and I realize that I'm talking more to professionals than I am to a needy group of fathers, but I'll just pretend that we all need help, and whatever I say that makes sense to you, use it. Whatever makes sense to your candidates, your customers, your clients, use it for them, okay? We have volunteer income tax preparation. And we used to be able to apply for the Affordable Care Act, which is a miracle in the United States. Not so much in Georgia, but in the rest of the United States. People can get insurance, health insurance. Doesn't matter whether you've been sick before or not. Doesn't matter how much money you got, there's a sliding scale that'll let you have it. I have a class of people learning welding, and I had some interviews with them a few weeks ago. They had a lot of health issues, and so the first two that I talked with said, we applied for Medicaid, but we're not eligible. One was a mother with 3 kids. She said, if I get pregnant again, I'll be eligible. My kids are eligible, but I'm not. So I was able to help her find a free dental clinic. The guy came in with a serious head injury, one in the past that was still causing him problems. I said, have you applied for Medicaid? He said, I'm not eligible for Medicaid. I said, I know that, but have you applied? I said, how about the health insurance? He said, well, I did apply, and I'm not eligible. I don't make enough money. So you see what's happened in our state with our wonderful General Assembly. They decided that we weren't going to help people who didn't have any money by expanding Medicaid, and everybody who's eligible for Medicaid under the federal law is not eligible to get their own insurance and pay for it. So the poor folks get left out. I mean the really poor folks, not those of us who cry about how far we had to walk to school and how hard it was to grow up and all the hardships we faced as young people. I mean really poor. Now, I want to talk to you about one more special program. It's a program funded by a federal research grant, so it has a few extra rules. right now, just before I came here, I left 16 people at Georgia Piedmont Technical College who are, 12 of them are getting their GED, the other 4 already have it, and all 16 are getting a welding certificate. And as I left, I had 2 members of a pipe fitters union explaining to them the career opportunities in welding and the career opportunities in pipe fitting. And they talked about entering their internship program, entry-level internship program, making $12.56 an hour. Now that's a pretty good start. And we chose welding because it has a good upside. And because we like football and baseball and we're going to build new stadiums so that the owners can make more money. I mean, so that we can all get in to see the games, or whatever it is. But there are going to be a lot of jobs for these people who have this welding opportunity. Right now, we're recruiting for 3 different occupations. One is warehousing and distribution. And you know, we have a big airport that brings a lot of freight in. Down on the coast, we have another port that brings things in on big boats. Most of it ends up in Atlanta, and then is shipped out of here, warehoused here, shipped out of here on trucks. Because there's more interstates going more places through Atlanta than anywhere else. If you want to go to heaven or elsewhere, you have to go through Atlanta, remember, because of the highway system. In addition to the warehousing, we have a program that's going to start for drafters' assistants. And they claim they make $15 an hour to start. And it's going to start the middle of May out at Georgia Piedmont Technical College, out where, you know where it is, out off Memorial Drive, Indian Creek Drive. And then again, the warehousing training is going to be at Atlanta Tech down in downtown Atlanta. Then we're going to start another one this summer for commercial electrical wiring. Commercial electrical wiring is not how to fix a lamp or the microwave oven. It's how to wire huge construction projects, office buildings, condos, apartments, stadiums for football and baseball and other things. Now, I've got a few flyers back on the table. We don't have a real big copy budget, and my copies disappeared before I left this morning, so I had to print. I got printed about 15 or so. Maybe we can use those. I printed a bunch of little flyers for the workforce development agencies. Just remember, even though this is Atlanta, it's available throughout the region. So don't just think we do it in Atlanta, although we do it as well or better than anybody else, always. I'm going to say just one more thing and then let you get on with your more important issues. The opportunity to make a living is threatened in our country right now. I don't mean you can't get a job, but I'm talking about making a living to care for a family and develop some resources so that you can leave a legacy, as our speaker told us earlier. Have something to pass on to your children and grandchildren. And these training programs where you develop a skill, I just heard the man say out at the college, our workforce is aged 55 right now. Yeah. At that age, they're going to retire. We need to replace them. Take opportunities to get your clients the kind of training that will give them an opportunity to work for a living and make this a land of opportunity again. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Greenwell. That's great information. And if you would, we're going to call up our next presenter. We have Mr. Roosevelt Muhammad from Teen Dads. If you would, Mr. Muhammad. All right, and Mr. Muhammad is coming forward. And one of the things, if you would, let's hold on to some information that Mr. Greenwell shared. He mentioned, if I heard you correctly, welding jobs, maybe 12, 15 an hour. Did I hear that correctly? That's right on target. That resembles a livable wage. And right now on a federal level, our president is talking about ensuring that workers earn a livable wage. In the same way that our president is giving priority and attention to working with young men. When you talk about launching a program, your timing is perfect. This is the type of momentum that we need on a federal and also local level. So we got some wonderful opportunities ahead of us. If you would, Mr. Muhammad.
Thank you. Thank you. It's indeed an honor to be here before everyone that has organized and pulled this program off today. I come from Fulton County, running the Call to Manhood Teen Dad program, which is a effective program designed to address the needs of our youth. We facilitate a comprehensive solution-based intervention strategy designed to address the needs of teen fathers in Fulton County. Those teen fathers exist in large number and large quantity. In terms of the metropolitan Atlanta area, you're dealing with roughly 10,000 teen fathers that blanket our community. These youth are in need of services and assistance. Having said that, one way to comprehend it is that in the final analysis, society's greatest return on investment is our youth, who will lead and shoulder the responsibilities of tomorrow. Another way to look at this is that overcoming hostile or challenging environments is the secret to success for those who understand and practice true leadership. Our youth who come into our program, age range 13 to 19, with a child or a child on the way. Our youngest recruit as a father was 10 years old, and the mother of the child was 9. Reality. One of our dads, the number of children that he had was 7 children. He started at 13 years old. Our youngest dad to graduate from the program was 14 years old. Our program exists over the course of a 6-month program cycle. Commissioner William Bill Edwards and the Fulton County Board of Commissioners are the endorsers, the movers, the shakers of this program. I act as the coordinator of the program. My colleague and my co-case manager in the back of the room, Mr. Carl Root, we implement this program to roughly 30 to 50 dads per program cycle over the course of 6 months, running 3 programs. One of our programs run in South Fulton, Midtown, in respect to Midtown, Mid-Fulton, and also North Fulton County. Our dads, they come into a 6-month program regimen. They meet for 2 hours on a Tuesday, Wednesday, or a Thursday. There's 168 hours in a week. It is an intervention strategy. This is not designed to address the multitude of issues that our youth go through. Our youth are given an incentive package. They are eligible for $650 to address the needs of that particular teen dad. Over the course of the 6 months, each month, 4 classes, sometimes 5 classes, they get $100 to shop with for food, milk, diapers, and baby-related items. This particular money that they use is their financial literacy component of the program, meaning that they have to learn to crunch those numbers and work the program accordingly. If they miss a class, there's a $25 deduction. Yes, this is their first job, if you will. And it's like employment because we become references or recommendations for them should a job opportunity emerge. We cannot do the program without partners. We enlist others to come on board to impart knowledge and information to the youth that are a part of the program. When this takes place, that youth learns of what's available to him in Fulton County in terms of resources, services, service providers, agencies. We have a partnership with the Superior Court. Chief Judge Cynthia Wright in the Atlanta Judicial Circuit, People's Clerk Tina Robinson, they waived the $313 fee for our teen dad to legitimate the child for the teen dad. This is a partnership that's true to its vision, meaning that the buy-in is incredible. We work with our juvenile justice department as well. Many of our teen dads come as referrals to us from the Juvenile Justice Department. No teen dad in our program is considered an undesirable. Every teen dad that comes to us, we work with them, we service them. We listen, we serve, we respond with a yes or a no, and we problem solve in accordance to what we see, hear, and understand. That's our campaign philosophy. The youth that comes through the program, again, brings with him a multitude of issues. No teen dad in our program can refer to the mother of his child as my baby's mama. They learn the mother of my child. They learn co-parenting. We facilitate what we believe to be as best practice, evidence-based program deliverables, meaning that we use the 24/7 dad curriculum, Fatherhood initiative. As we use that curriculum, it is not the sole tool that can help address the needs of a father. You learn that youth drop out of high school. We cannot deliver over the course of a 6-month program, a 12-year or what would be considered a high school diploma. We are an intervention strategy. And that is said, again, the youth that comes through our program many a times can't read the book, or can he write? Meaning that, again, he is deficient in his education and he needs more intervention. We have partnerships with Favor Academy of Excellence, which is a pool of teachers and administrators who help provide tutorial services and GED work where the youth can get his GED without paying for that particular GED. He just has to pay with his time and his sacrifice and go get those classes and study under him so he can pass the test. We have model teen dads that are also in college, that are working 3 or 4 jobs, that are in the military. We have teen dads that are also 28 counts on them in terms of the criminal element, which is real, where violence and crime has been their portfolio. But because of the program, we have a 96% success rate. Any dad that you introduce to the program under our leadership or under our tutelage, they buy in and they graduate. If I introduce to a teen dad in the beginning of the program, 6 months later, you want to measure the program, you watch that young man walk across the stage and receive his achievement ceremony certificate. Our keynote presenters are commissioners, like Larry Johnson has been our commissioner, who's come and presented as the keynote twice for our program. Commissioner Elgin Bell, Commissioner, name skips me, but we have also had, well, of course, Commissioner William Edwards is a prime, again, reason why the program exists. We've had Cecil Newton, the father of Cam Newton, who is the pro quarterback for North Carolina Panthers. We've had the DA. The DA's office, Paul Howard, buys into this program, sees the relevancy of this program. When our youth, we go before the judges on behalf of our teen dads. We speak on their behalf as to their commitment to the program. We write character development or character witness letters on their behalf. We have a relationship with the legal system. Again, our Teen Dads program exists in Fulton County. It's designed to help address the needs of the youth. You have to be a Fulton County resident with a child or a child on the way. We appreciate you. We're back here at the table and invite you to come to the table if you have any other questions. Okay? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Muhammad. That's great information. Great information. If you would, we do have one more presenter, but I wanted to thank you for your patience because one part of our program that we don't want anyone to miss is our panel of fathers. It's critically important that we hear directly from fathers. What does it mean to be involved with DFACS and also child welfare? So if you would, we're going to call up for our last presentation, Mrs. Deborah Johnson from the DeKalb Family Law Information Center. And if you would, please stay put because we're going to bring up our panel of fathers next, and I think you're going to enjoy that piece of it. Mrs. Johnson?
Thank you very much. Okay, let's see. Hey, can you hear me now? I'm not used to having to hold the microphone. Okay, I am a lawyer, and my real job is with the Atlanta Legal Aid Society. I'm the managing attorney of the DeKalb County office. But one of the roles that legal aid fills is to work with the Family Law Information Center in DeKalb County, where people can get advice and forms and things that they may need if they're going to try and represent themselves in family law court in DeKalb County. Before I tell you about the Family Law Information Center, they wanted me also to talk to you a little bit as a lawyer about legitimation. And so I'm going to talk mainly about that, and then I'll also tell you about the services of the Family Law Information Center. I'm also going to take 30 seconds to mention one thing having nothing to do with any of those things. Mr. Greenwell mentioned the VITA program, VITA, Volunteers in Tax Assistance or something, Income Tax Assistance. I mentioned that because we are now in the last 2 weeks of tax filing season, and everybody here who may be thinking about filing their taxes may get tempted to go to these places that offer rapid refunds. And what they're really offering you is not a rapid refund. What they're really offering you is a high interest loan on your own money. It is not a smart way to get your taxes done. If you need help, you don't know how to do your taxes yourself, and you need help, go by all means to one of these VITA programs. There's another program, the acronym I forget, that's focusing on helping seniors with their taxes, but they can help you do it fast too, and they're not going to charge you all that money just to get a quick refund of your own money. The other thing about them is that these rapid refund outfits are often not the most qualified in helping you to fill out your taxes, and they're going to maybe pad a little bit what deductions you can claim, what credits you can claim, and then they'll make you think, because you're going to think they know and you don't know, so they'll tell you you can get it and you'll think you can. You go ahead and sign on the dotted line, you get the money, and then the refund doesn't end up as high as they say it's gonna. Well, you've already borrowed that money from them. They're going to chase you for that money because they're not going to get as much from the IRS in the refund as they thought and you thought they were going to get. So please do not spend your money in that way. Use these VITA programs. Use the honest and free services that are available to get your taxes done. So, end of that off-topic thing. Legitimation is I think of it as the equivalent of divorce for people that were never married to each other, but minus the property stuff. You know, in a divorce, in addition to dealing with issues about custody and visitation and so forth, you also have to deal with issues about how to divide up the property. Well, in a legitimation case, you don't have to deal with property, but you still have to deal with everything else. You got to figure out where the kid's going to live, how much time are they going to spend with each parent, who's going to have authority to make decisions about what the kids need, and who's going to pay how much money toward the support of the children. Can the people in the back hear me? I know that I'm not as, okay, good. I'm not quite as lively a speaker as the folks who've come before, and I think I'm the first person who's not a dad that's talking to you, so I don't have quite the volume that they have. Legitimation is a court procedure for the most part, although there is a process by which you can do legitimation without going to court, but it only gets you halfway to where you need to be. So let me take a step back and tell you what legitimation is. In our legal system, which we inherited in large measure from the Europeans, there was the tradition that if a child was not born in wedlock, the father of the child had a choice of whether he wanted to have that child recognized as his child or not. And if he chose not to recognize the child, that child was a second-class citizen who had no father. And the mother couldn't do anything about it. It was all up to the dad. Well, we still have that system here in Georgia. The father is the only one who can legitimate the child, his relationship with the child. If the father doesn't take that step, the child doesn't have the same status in relation to the father that the child would have if the parents had been married. If the parents are married when the child's born, it's automatic. The child and the father have the fullest relationship that the law allows for parent and child. Same as between the mother and the child. But if the father and the mother were not married at the time that the child was born, then that unwed father does not have the same status in relation to the child. Georgia has tried to sort of modify the way that works, because in the old days, back in, Middle Ages or whatever it was in Europe, when dad could either choose or not to be recognized as the father, there was no such thing as child support enforcement. Well, nowadays, there's such a thing as child support enforcement, and people can be ordered to pay support for their children, and that makes them feel like, well, wait a minute, I should have some rights here. I gotta pay, I should have some rights, but there's still that thing about child hasn't been legitimated, the relationship hasn't, and so I have 3 minutes. And so, because the relationship has not been legitimated, the father doesn't have the same rights, but he still has to pay. So that has led us to where we are today, where people feel like, that doesn't seem fair. So we've tried to make it more accessible for people to be able to legitimate their relationships with their children. And that's one of the things that's available at the Family Law Information Center, is forms that can be used if you want to represent yourself in filing in court to legitimate the relationship with the children. There is a non-court procedure for legitimation where parents, at the time the child is born, if both parents sign the paternity acknowledgement form twice, then it's not just acknowledging paternity, it's also acknowledging legitimation. But it doesn't really accomplish a whole lot, because it doesn't get anybody a court order that says they have visitation rights or custody rights. You really have to get into court, even if you've got that piece of paper that has the so-called legitimation. So whether married or not married, what really matters, if the parents are not together and not cooperating, is there needs to be a court decision saying who has what rights. And so I think it's a bit of a myth to say that legitimation is really this important thing. Really what matters is, if you're not getting along with the other parent, you need a court order that sort of says what the ground rules are. The ideal way to get a court order is to get a lawyer to represent you and go into court. How do you get a lawyer? Lawyers are expensive. Most lawyers are expensive. Not all lawyers are expensive, because guess how much you pay to hire me? $0. It's a good price, right? So you can imagine that there's a lot of demand for services from lawyers who work for legal aid. Therefore, all of our clients have to qualify to be our clients at legal aid. Have to be poor. If you're poor and you're a dad that needs to legitimate the relationship, or you need a divorce, or you need custody or visitation or whatever, you might be able to be my client. If you're a mom, same thing. So legal aid can represent people in going to court if they haven't got the money. But if you have money, you're best advised to hire an attorney to represent you in court. But if you choose not to hire an attorney or come to legal aid, or you can't get either one of those, and last resort, you're representing yourself, the Family Law Information Center has forms that you can use for lots of different family law matters. Legitimation is one of them, divorce is another, child support modification, there's a whole bunch of different kinds of name change forms, a lot of different kind of forms. You can also get a half-hour consultation with a lawyer who can review the forms that you filled out, help you if you made any mistakes. And there are folks there that offer free notary services and other helpful things like that. They also can help with filling out child support worksheets, because child support is inevitably part of almost any kind of case concerning children, which is a little warning I want to give. If somebody wants to get visitation rights with a child that does not live with them, that person, whether mother or father, if they're trying to get visitation rights, child support will certainly be decided as part of it. Judge Adams, who was here earlier, was the judge on a case of a guy who came in to see me saying he'd done a legitimation so he could get visitation, and he came out with a child support order, and he was stunned that he got ordered to pay child support. Well, Judge Adams sees it as it's all part of one big thing. If you're going to take care of this child, there's a financial component as well as a relationship component. So he ordered child support. The guy was blown away. Well, you got to recognize if you want to go to court and get those kind of rights, whether you're a mom or a dad, if you're not the parent the child lives with, you will be ordered to pay child support. So you can't have one without the other. You can't get those kind of privileges to spend time with the child without also paying support. I encourage you to take advantage of the resources at the Family Law Information Center, but I urge you, don't assume that just because the forms exist, that means you're going to know what you're doing when you get into court. So, if you can, hire a lawyer. If you can't, then you may need to represent yourself. But recognize that if you do, you are having to do for yourself the same things that a lawyer would do for you. There is no them out there that's going to do it for you. The legal system, unfortunately, sort of like the medical system, is built on the idea that there are professionals that guide people through the process. And it doesn't work very well when the professionals aren't part of it. So thank you very much for your time. There are materials from the Family Law Information Center on the table poster board on it, and I thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Johnson. All right, that's great information. Again, we got lots of resources available. But if you would, we're going to transition now to our panel discussion. So if it's okay, dads, can we begin to assemble ourselves here? And I think we also have a second microphone that we can use so the dads can have an opportunity to introduce themselves and also share their story. You know, as I listen to the different presentations, it's exceptional that each presentation is useful, is applicable. This is all good information. Whenever you consider the legal issues, it's a big barrier for dads trying to navigate the bureaucratic system. So again, these are good resources. Please take some information with you. All right. Thank you, dads, for joining us today. This is a wonderful opportunity that we have. You have a chance to tell your story. So if you would, please feel comfortable and express yourself in your own words so that we can have an understanding. In our work, sometimes we call it empathy. We want to have a greater ability to connect with you and understand some of the challenges that you face as a father. So with that in mind, if you would, we're going to give our fathers an opportunity to introduce themselves. So please tell us your name and also the number of children and their ages so we can know a little bit more about you.
Name is Daryl Yarber. I have actually a daughter, 14, and I have 2 sons. They are grown. My daughter, I'm a sole parent. She's my heart, and I've had her ever since she was approximately 3 months. There's so much that I can say in regards to her and my experiences with her over all these years. It's been just wonderful. It has really, really been wonderful. Her being a part of my life has really enriched me in so many ways beyond what I can even express at this moment in time.
That's positive. Excuse me, Dad. You know, we've been talking a lot about fathers, and a lot of times when we think of fathers, we hear fathers and sons. But I'm glad that you highlighted the fact that a strong man can help to raise daughters. And so that's critically important that we acknowledge what we can contribute to our daughters. But I want you to hold that thought for just a moment, because we definitely want to hear more about your daughter and your children, and it's noble that you are raising those children. Let's have the dad to your right introduce himself.
How y'all doing today? My name is Twain Worthy. I'm 28. I have a 5-year-old son. And I just try to take care of him the best way I can. But, you know, I'm having problems. But, you know, I just try to live every day and try to take care of him.
Very good. Positive. And if you would, we're going to jump down to this end. If you would, sir.
Good afternoon again. My name is Maxwell Sirius, and I'm here because I want to show both sides. Sometimes we only hear what the fathers don't do, but sometimes it's hear what the fathers does do. So, and I am a father with 5 kids. When I came to Georgia, I was a single father, raising 2 daughters, and also had to deal with the legal system. And even though I was qualified and all those things, the court has a different picture of what they see manhood as. So I'm here to show you that no matter what you are, you have to be consistent and stand and really support your kids. So that's why I'm here, to show that I told my kids the best revenge in life is success. And you turn that around to be there for them. So that's why I'm on the panel today.
Great, positive. Happy you're here. And if you would, sir, introduce yourself and also your children.
My name is Jamal Lee. I got 1 daughter. She's 2 months old, and she's the best thing that ever happened to me.
Wonderful. Thank you. And if you would?
My name is Raymonde Daniels, and I have 4 kids and 1 on the way.
All right. Congratulations, Dad.
Hello, everybody. My name is Emmanuel Kilpatrick. I have 2 boys. One of my sons, he stays with me. I have full custody. I legitimized him to go through all that stuff. I represented myself. As is, I'm here to impact. You know, I feel like this is a good cause for us coming together, learning 2 sides from a male perspective instead of from a woman perspective. So you're going to learn a lot. Here we are.
All right, before you pass that mic, you said something exceptional, and we just had a presentation. You helped to represent yourself, and you now have custody of your son. Is that correct? If you would, just share in your own words, what does it mean to be involved in your son's life? And is he 5, correct? He's 6. What does it mean to be involved in his life?
I mean, to me, actually, you know, I'm a football coach, so I actually coach my son, you know, when we have games or whatever. Yesterday, to be honest with you, we was talking. We was having a deep conversation. He was telling me about his day, and you know, sometimes I can't say all the time. I tell him I heard the dude named Carter. He was saying about love. You know, tell your kid you love him, whatever. You know, I do. Sometimes when my son go to his mom's house on the weekends or whatever, you know, we might talk, you know, whatever. And I tell him, Daddy, I said, son, I love you. He hit me back and said, I love you too, Dad. You know, I feel real good about that. You know, being involved and actually, you know, doing what I need to do or whatever, knowing that it's some fathers out there doing their job.
Wonderful. And you said something powerful, that emotional connection that we heard the presenter talk about, being able to tell your children that you love them and give them those hugs. But also you talked about spending time with your child. That's very important. If you would, if it's okay with you, I wanted to ask another question, and it's open to any of you on the panel. Share with us some of your experiences with DFACS. What does it mean to be a father and have a child come before the attention of our agency? What has been your experience?
Me personally, I know I just told you guys that I have a 2-month-old daughter, and she is actually, in fact, right now in DFACS custody. And my experiences with that is, it is hard. It is very, very, very hard. But at the same time, it also pushes you to do the things that you have to do. You know, it pushes you to make sure you have a job. It pushes you to make sure that you have a place to stay. And it pushes you to make sure that you are the father and the man that you're supposed to be to support your children.
All right. That's positive. Case managers need to hear that. Because what I'm hearing Dad say is DFACS interaction is not pushing him away from his children, but helping him to understand the level of commitment that's needed to raise successful children. So that's real positive. You're putting a different spin on what we often hear from fathers related to DFACS. Anybody else would like to share some of your experiences with DFACS, if your children have been in care or have come to the attention of the agency?
Can't really say that my child was in care, but I was a foster child. I made it out. I was a foster child between 6 to 16. So, you know, this is success right here to be able to stand, never been to jail. So I can't say it did help me from a stand. I did have bad things at the same time. But I mean, I feel like for each kid, it's different sometimes. It's different.
All right. You know, you said something that was interesting. We got to keep in mind, we have a lot of dads that are currently in care. And one of the things that we have to consider as an agency, are we making careful assessment of those needs of those foster children or those dads that are now in care? And are we them the very best father they could be? And so we got to keep that in mind. But again, I wanted to give someone else an opportunity. We're going to change gears here pretty quickly. We had talked about incarceration and the challenges we face if we've ever been incarcerated or if we have a criminal history. And what does that mean? How does it impact our ability to be there for our children? Anyone that would like to speak on that? Go ahead, sir.
With me, my incarceration, well, my son was born, I got incarcerated at the age, well, he was 3 years old once I got incarcerated, and I was incarcerated his whole life. When I got out, he was grown, but through my parents stepping in, I was able to still develop a relationship with my son, and he know me as dad. And the important thing I learned about being a father, it really don't make a difference what situation you're in. It don't stop you from being a father. You still have to be a father regardless. I may not be able to do something financially, but I'm still able to instill in my son the things that I need to instill in him. So it was just a blessing to be able to still be able to instill in my son, even being in the situation I was in. Because a lot of times, a lot of guys incarcerated feel like they can't do anything for their kids. But, you know, it ain't about the finance. It's just the time, be able to say certain things, because that's actually your seed. And your DNA is in them. And there's a lot of things you know about your son that a lot of people just don't know. And so, you know, I was able to communicate with him and have a relationship with him even through my incarceration.
You know, the thing that's so critically important is fathers need to hear your story. Because the way that you shared that, it made it something attainable. The fact that I might not be able to provide in the way that I would like financially, you just gave an example of how you're willing and you have the ability to still be there for your children. Other dads need to hear your story, because all too often fathers feel like if I can't buy the shoes, if I can't pay the bills, then I don't need to be involved. And that's not the message we want to communicate, because dads are more than just providers. But if you would, I wanted to give you an opportunity to share some of your experiences as well.
Well, my experience with incarceration, I wasn't incarcerated when my daughter was born or even when she was conceived. But I did realize that when I did have a baby, I realized that being incarcerated in the past really does affect it, because it's harder to get a job, you know, and it really affects the way people look at you when you tell them, oh, I have been incarcerated, or, you know, that I know what it's like to be in jail. It changes how people look at you. It changes how employers look at you. And, you know, and it really changes the way you think about, oh, how am I going to tell my daughter when she gets older? You know what I mean? I've thought about that sometimes. You know what I mean? What is my daughter going to think when she grows up and say, oh, well, my daddy was in jail? You know? And it hurts me sometimes, but I know I'll get through it.
Positive. Thank you for sharing. If you would, I wanted to come back to you, sir. You had mentioned your 3-year-old daughter. Is that correct? All right. If you would, because all too often we tend to think of fathers and sons. Take a moment to speak to the importance of instilling values, a sense of identity, connection in your daughter. What is it about you, Dad, and raising your daughter?
Well, I think it's very important to extend values. With my daughter, over the past few years, we've experienced a lot of things. The passing of a child. I was a surrogate father to another little girl that passed several years ago. Spent a lot of time with her. She had a debilitating illness from birth. So I spent a great deal of time in the company of that little girl. In addition to after that, right after the month after she died, I got a phone call in regards to my father being terminally ill and asking me if I would step in, you know, to take him to the doctor. Took him to the doctor, and everybody was so happy that there was a responsible party there. and ended up, that took me out for a number of years, up until the time that he passed. But my little girl was by my side. My little girl was by my side with my other little daughter passed. She was there at her deathbed, and she was there throughout the time in which I was being by my father's side. And the only thing I can say is the biggest value that I passed on to her, one of them, was her telling me that, Daddy, if ever there come a time, I'm going to be by your side the way you were by my grandpa's side. That right there, I can tell you about all her accomplishments in school, her honors, all of that. But that particular value, in addition to the power of prayer that she has, she seriously believes she can pray for anything, and if it's in God's will, she's going to get it. She believes that. So that's all I can say as far as what I'm passing on to her. I know all the material things.
Right.
They come and go.
Okay.
They may be stolen. They may be lost. They may be taken away. The material things, stuff. But as long as she has certain values, she can always regain.
Wow. Thank you. Thank you. All right. That is so positive. And you know what? You're directly speaking in line with what case managers need to hear, because we want to see you more than once a month or every other month. So, that's a myth sometimes that these fathers are running away from us. But sometimes we got to recognize fathers are hiding in plain view. We're just not seeking them out. And so I'm glad that you shared that from the father's point of view. You want case managers that are consistent, case managers that are available, case managers that can help build your capacity to be a good dad. And we need to hear that, because all too often we think that you all are running the other way, and that's not always the case. But if you would, since you had an opportunity to share with the case managers, we're going to open up the floor, and we're going to give you an opportunity. If you have a question, something you would like to share, we have the mic here. Please feel free. Please feel welcome to come forward. We wanted to give you an opportunity to share in this exchange. Anyone?
I'll go first. First of all, I want to thank you all for coming and participating on this panel. This is really important for us because oftentimes we talk about dads, but we don't bring you to the table so we can hear from you. So my question is, for you in particular, sir, you've said have you had full custody of your daughter since she was 3 months?
Yeah.
So one of our biases is sometimes we see fathers and infants and we just assume single man can't take care of his infant. And so I'd like to know if what did you experience any side eyes from maybe your family, friends, community agencies as you were raising your 3-month-old by yourself, and what was that like for you? What supports could have been available to help you, and just tell us what was that like for you?
Actually, I got a lot of it. And it really wasn't something that was only within, say, the system or just friends, but actually it was in home. It was relatives. My mother even. How in the world are you going to raise a 3-month-old daughter? How are you going to do it? Where are you going to find a time? So I even got it, initially, even at home. But I was, the first time I held her in my arms, that was it. And she fell asleep in my arms. And I said, she's finding peace in my arms. As crazy as that sound. And at that point, that was it. My stepfather at the time basically said, you know what to do. Go get your baby. And that's what I did. But I think that, within the system, we were having some discussions as far as single and how we're viewed. I think that, within the system, probably, I may a little biased or, somewhat prejudiced, but I think that there's a certain connection women make with women when it comes to children and that dynamic. Women are a lot more emotional, dramatic somewhat, as far as getting their point across. Whereas men, we sit back, okay. We hold all that in. We may be feeling all kinds of things inside, but we just say, okay, And if it's a situation where there's certain things that are available, certain programs that are available to us, it may be a situation whereas we feel that it's not even worth pursuing certain programs that we're entitled to based on our situation. But I think that within the system, I think that there is that slant there. I was sitting there thinking, I say, it's almost like squatters' rights. The person who was there at the very beginning, they have a bundle of rights. And as far as anybody else stepping in who may be a part, it's going to be very, very difficult in order to try to step in certain circumstances and be a part of what that person is sitting on. So I think overall there's a certain bias, and I think a lot of it comes from just the dynamic of women dealing with women and men dealing with women and the dramatics of it.
You make a point because we have to ensure that whenever we identify services for fathers, they're services uniquely developed for fathers. Remember, we can't take a one-size-fits-all approach because the fact of the matter, and this is what you were speaking to, men and women parent differently. And we have to ensure that we're sensitive to how men parent and we can better prepare them to be there for their children. But again, I think you spoke directly to, when you connect heart to heart with your child, there's a bond that cannot be broken. And so we have an opportunity as professionals to assist fathers to make that type of connection with their children. Parents, when supported, can provide safety and protection for their children. We know that. Sir?
I just wanted to corroborate what he said. Men and women are different, and different don't mean inequality. And sometimes men only don't suffer in the dark, but they don't understand how to reach out. And I always tell a man, don't suffer alone. Reach out, because when you reach out, you're not alone. And sometimes when in isolation, you run and hide. But as long as you can reach out and tell somebody your story, you'll be surprised that you're not alone. A lot of men, even when of this panel, as I spoke to them, even when I do the parenting skill at DFAC, is that your story sounds just like my story. It's just in isolation you feel like you're alone. It used to be prized when everybody have the same story, that in unity there's power. So that's what men have to understand, that you can't do it alone. And as you reach out, and I supported my two daughters, and one is graduating this year, another one is in college. And like I said, as a man, is to be there, consistent. And sometimes learn your, like I said, don't call her baby mama or whatever. Just learn the mother name and all those things. And sometimes you have to bite your pride. You have to bite your pride as a man, because we want to go and dominate and want to have it our way. But sometimes we have to step back and really know that the child is looking at how you treat the mom. What I didn't know that I was doing, that the mom was to use my name and say, I'm going to tell your father. But she wouldn't let the kids know. But she know that I stand on principle and I stand for certain things. And like I said, the mother knows what the father's strength and weakness are. And when you don't show up or don't be consistent, I tell the man, just consistency. If you say an hour a week, you make sure you show up an hour a week. No matter whatever happened, you show up, because you are setting that child a standard. And I told my daughters, I'm the first man that they know. And if my standard is not high, they'll fall for anything. So, and that's what I still in them as a man. So,
that's a powerful message. And whenever we have an opportunity, we need to be communicating that message right there. All right? Now, professionals, we're not going to let you off the hook. Often I hear from case managers, when I try to reach out to fathers, I can't talk to them. we have a panel of dads ready to receive your questions. So if you would, case managers, professionals, I want to implore you to come forward and take advantage of this opportunity to ask fathers questions or to share information. You have an open mic. Thank you, Dad.
I just wanted to more so share some information with you today. I understand some of you have daughters. My name is Chris Slatz, and I'm with Champ Fatherhood. And what we do is simply building strong communities and families by uplifting fathers. And for you men who have daughters, I have a Hair Daddy and Me Day Camp that'll be taking place soon. And I want to make sure I put this information in your hands. It focuses on father and daughter relationships, but it also focuses on how to take care of your daughters. It's important that you invest in them first, because if you don't, somebody else will. All right, thank you.
All right, thank you for sharing. Thank you. All right. Again, we see it reinforced over and over again in our short time together. There's resources available for fathers. What we have to do as professionals ensure that we utilize those resources. So please, let's not be complacent. Let's not allow this to stop at a launch, but let's ensure that this launch assists us in maintaining momentum to engage and involve fathers in the lives of their children. All right? If you would, we're going to make a transition. And we're going to begin closing and wrapping up, but before we do that, we want to begin sharing words of wisdom so that we can ensure that we're all on the same page and that we could all leave on a positive note. So the floor is open as well, but fathers, we want to give you an opportunity. If there's any words of wisdom that you can share with each other or even our group, you have the opportunity.
Take the time, make the connection. It's not about money. It's all about love, really. It's all about, taking the time to spend with your children. You don't have to have $1 in your pocket when you go to see your son or your daughter. As long as you go and you see them, and when you leave, you say that I love you, and you give your son or your daughter a hug, that's all that counts.
Thank you, Dad.
With me being incarcerated and dealing with my son, I think the word of wisdom that I could actually leave anybody with, that I missed a lot of time with my son, but me not really knowing how to be a man myself. And, one day I just prayed, Lord, show me how to really be a father. See, the thing about a lot of times we think we know how to be a father, but we really don't know. And God really was shaping me to be the kind of father that my son really needed, because if I would have got out the time that I wanted to get out, I would have been instilling in him the wrong thing, because I really didn't know how to be a father. But God was molding me for me to get out to be able to be the right kind of father. And once I got out, I found out that I had another son that I never met before. But I was prepared to deal with him as well. And now that I'm married, I got a daughter, 2-year-old daughter, and I got my stepdaughter, and I got a son on the way. But I'm able to deal with them because God has showed me how to be a father and to be active in their life. So pray to God to show you how to be a father. I think that's key.
Yes, sir. That's powerful right there.
One of the things I feel truly commitment. I feel something just came on my mind is if you see somebody in the street, I know people that y'all might feel like he a bad guy or he's trouble, but you see him with some kids or whatever, try to help him, give him some information, don't be afraid of him, he's one of yours, don't neglect, don't pass him by, help him out, that's a challenge that I'm challenging each one of y'all, woman or man. We got to do it. Let's go.
All right, I got you, bruh. That's positive. That's positive. All right.
I guess probably one of the things that comes to mind is that they're all we got. When all is said and done, you know, they're going to be the ones, the part of us that's going to go into the future. That's it. That's it. You know, things around us, you know, come and go. But as far as a dad, I know that one of the biggest things that I want is for my daughter to just be able to grasp hold of certain values, and as my parents would always say, you know, as long as I can just leave you with the fact that, you know, Jesus is there, God is there, and you will always have that. As long as I can instill that in you, everything's going to be all right. I can rest in peace. So that, as well as many other basic values, that right there is one of the things that I would leave you with, just to be able to instill that in my daughter, which is a part of me that's going to go into the future long after I'm gone, and her children. That's it.
Great. Thank you, Dad.
Hey, how y'all doing? And, just wanted to let y'all know, okay, God has been good to me, you know. I just try to take care of my son the best way I can, you know, even though I'm going through all my problems. Just know God's behind me, and whoever I got behind me, you know, then I'm going to keep it moving. I'm going to try to be the best dad that I can for him.
Thank you, Dad. That's wonderful. That's wonderful.
I want to thank, we didn't talk much about the legal system, you know, men and the legal system and fighting for their custody. Because I know when I came down to Georgia, there's a horse of a different color. With my background, when the judge named my bio, I said, who are you talking to? Because he said, you went to a good college, you went to Hunter College, you get your BA in psychology, you get your master's in counseling, and you're working towards your PhD. But that was still not good enough to be a father of your children. So I imagine if I couldn't be a father for my kids in the legal system, what about a father who don't have that qualification? That's a telling story. So I said, manhood is a choice. You know, we are born as male, but being a man is a choice. And in spite of that, I still was consistent in my children's life. And I think that's the most important thing, because children are an investment. And defects can't do it alone. It's a family, and it's everybody participation. Sometimes we look at one person and say, why they're not doing their part. When men stand up, they'll be surprised what a woman and everybody else can do. It's the man out of place, but the children trying to find their way. And I think as this panel starts off, it is a foundation, that's a building block. It's not the beginning, but consistency and being responsible for the choice we make, I think that's most important. So that's why I'm on this panel, to show that there is good men who's standing up and being effective in their children's life. I said the most important part of the thing of my life as a father, that my 5 kids have been successful, and I know how to visit them incarcerated. So that's as important. I remember Chris Rock said, as a father, the most fearful thing was for him as a father seeing his daughter on a pole. But I think the most important thing as a father is just being a man that she can look up to. Thank you.
Thank you, Dad. All right, and we have one words of wisdom or question?
Yes.
All right.
Words of wisdom, and Mr. Green, your question resonated to me as I was sitting in the back, being a DFACS professional, having this opportunity to speak to men. I just want to, first of all, commend you men for coming up here. What you guys did was you turned this room into a locker room. And what you did, you undressed yourselves in front of all these people. And you know, men, we have a certain culture in the locker room. No women allowed. What happens in the locker room, stay in the locker room. But you have invited us. You have invited the press in to the locker room. So I want to commend you for tearing down that pride and opening yourselves up. Can we give these men a hand, please? They just stripped butt naked in front of you and exposed themselves, and that deserves to be commended.
to say that, number one. Number two, the last thing I wanted to say was, and I was sitting there praying like, God, very rarely do I have the opportunity to come before men and not have anything to say. And our dad told me to tell you, because you're my brothers. My dad told me to tell you what he told our brother Christ before he baptized him. After he had baptized him, he told him this as he was coming out the water. This is my son in whom I'm well pleased. No, our Father is well pleased with you. No matter what kind of mistakes you made, no matter what kind of mistakes you made, I made. I want you to know our dad is well pleased with you. Okay?
Yes,
All
sir.
right, brothers.
Thank you. Thank you. All right. Now, I didn't know he was going to take us there, but I'm willing to go with you. All right. Now, if you would, we're going to begin wrapping up. I'm going to turn this back over to Adika. Oh, do we have one more question or comment? Please come forward. Please come forward. Okay.
The wealth. So,
Great. Thank you very much.
I just want to have one comment to Ms. Lawrence, Ms. Green, region I came from, standing of what you all did here, because Region 13 will be taking the call to action as well. And it's not going to stop with here. Men, we appreciate you, because we read the announcement, said a call to action. And action is what we're going to take, because Region 13 will be taking the initiative. We're going to be doing some of the same thing here, and we're going to be picking your brain to try to get some ideas, but we're not going to forget about the dads, because as another Mr. Russell, I think, said, there were 5 case managers in Fulton County. I'm not going to have and we're no stranger to call of action. So we're going to take what we've learned here and build upon this, and we're going to have a strong program. What DFACS is doing right now, and everybody know, we're changing. And we don't want to become extinct like the dinosaurs, because the agency as a whole is changing. So the opportunities for men to come up and stand forward and bring forth new ideas, a little strong, stern ideas, what stands on principle. I know that sometimes our counterparts are emotional, and that's good. That's balance, counterbalance. So we've got to have some balance in our lives, our structure, and even in our agency. So as we move forward, we're going to take this here and call it and move on it and take heed to what all has been said here, because sometimes we don't get it right. But my village is not your village. We all come from a village, and we all have a different story. We're going to learn how to tell our story and include our dads in what we're doing.
Thank you, Mr. Fields. All right. So we're going to begin to wrap up at this point, but if you would, join me in giving the dads another round of applause. You all are making a tremendous difference. All right, and with that in mind, I'm going to turn it back over to Mr. Adika.
Didn't they do a phenomenal job? Phenomenal job. I would like to take this opportunity. If you are a dad and you're sitting in the audience, regardless as to who you work for, if you would please stand. We celebrate you. We salute you. Give these fathers, these dads, a round of applause. Absolutely phenomenal. Phenomenal. Thank you. Thank you. And so if you have a couple of points of order, if you have a questionnaire, please complete the questionnaire and place it in the back table where you received it. Also, as we're speaking of the launch, if you would mark your calendars for April 24th, 2012 at the Access and Resource Center, April 24th. I'm sorry. I'm going backwards. Need to go forward. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Someone don't take me back. 2 years of case manager. Okay. So, excuse me, April 24, 2014, we're going to continue this conversation. This is one of the elements of the launch. We having a gentleman from a federal agency, the Administration of Children and Families, actually from this region, that's been set up through the DeKalb Family Policy Council. Ms. Heather Dorner, along with some of her team, and that's going to take place at the Arch, at the Arc for our lunch and learn. The address is 949 North Harrison Road. That's in Stone Mountain, from 12 noon until 2 p.m. Also, that same evening of April 24, 2014, starting at 6 o'clock, we're talking about the launch. The fellas that you see in front of me, as well as any other fathers, are invited to come to the Ark. Again, that address is 949 North Harrison. It's in the Kroger Shopping Plaza. And we're going to actually have our first fatherhood information session based on what you've seen and what you've learned here. Strictly fathers. It's for fathers only, young, older, seasoned, employed, underemployed. It's just for fathers. That's going to be April 24, 2014. One of the other things before we dismiss, and we do have in the back, you can get your picture taken. We're going to have live testimonials to my right, your left. So if there's any element that you like, that you really enjoyed this afternoon, please feel free. The videographer is going to be on hand just to share your thoughts, your heart. There will be a line. I'm going to ask all the team to get in place for the logistics as well as hospitality for crowd control. If you all would go ahead and get in place now. And finally, I would like to ask, we actually have representation. We know that the various elements of the community were here, but we have representation from the state office. I submit to you that Region 14 here in DeKalb County and Fulton County is the best region throughout the state of Georgia. I submit to you. So if Mr. Lamar Smith, as well as Ms. Lamarva Ivory, Ms. Lanine Lanier, and Mr. Lawrence Nelson would join me up front. We have just a couple of tokens of appreciation for you all's time. These men have done an exceptional job. They've been with us from the beginning, along with the MC. I'm going to get back to the MC in just a second. But this event actually was formulated and created by dads. Yes, you may see me here. You may see other individuals from DHS, Department of Human Services, before you. But it was created by dads. Dads had input from the beginning all the way through the end. Again, it was not about myself or not about the planning committee, but just want to let you all know, dads, we definitely appreciate you. And when your name is called, if you will come up, please. Mr. Maxwell Sears. This certificate of appreciation reads as follows. It says, this certificate is awarded to, I have my contacts in, but for some reason I can't see. But it is awarded to Maxwell Sears in recognition of your dedication to your child or your children and sharing your personal experiences with the community. At the first annual Fatherhood launch, Georgia Department of Human Services, Region 14. Mr. Jamal Lee. Mr. Keith Daniel. Mr. Emmanuel Kilpatrick. Mr. Darrell Yarber. And I'm going to tell you how dedicated these dads are. Actually, one of the dads that was due to be individual number 6, he didn't show. He had some other challenges. However, one of the dads just simply got up, and I guess he saw the empty stool, and he saw the need. You know, and sometimes us as professionals, we have to address the need. We see the need, we meet the need. So if Mr. Twain Worthy will come up, we will be actually presenting something to Mr. Worthy, but Mr. Worthy saw the need, and he met the need. So thank you. We're going to take care of it. Again, I'm going to hand the mic over to Mr. Smith, but we definitely thank everyone for coming out. Be sure to visit the booths. The Teen Dads is back there to the DeKalb Family Policy Council. There's information for the Atlanta Workforce Development, along with the ARC, the Access and Resource Center here in DeKalb County. Thank you very, very much.
Good afternoon. It is certainly my honor and privilege to be with you all here this afternoon. I came to you all this afternoon from a ministerial alliance meeting that we had at 2 Peachtree. And the conversation there was simply one that we've had for quite some time, that DFACS can't do this work alone, nor should we do this work alone. It is really about community and family accountability and community and family engagement. And that is the message that has really resonated here today. I met this gentleman here, I guess late last year, in Region 13, when we had a discussion around fatherhood and paternal engagement and what that meant for the agency, and how, as we really wanted to build the skill development of our staff to really become far more self-aware about what fathers meant to us, subsequently when we began to engage fathers in our daily work to strengthen communities and to strengthen families. So today is really, has come to fruition as really an exhibit and a demonstration of DFACS's, DHS's commitment to family, commitment to children, commitment to say we don't need a TV station to tell us to be accountable. We are accountable to ourselves, and we are accountable to our families and to our children. So certainly, job well done. Job well done. Job well done. Job well done. So thank you all. I appreciate it.
And before we go on to our next individual that's going to be speaking, Clark Atlanta University has showed out. All the interns from Clark Atlanta University, I don't know if you all know what this is. I saw it like 2 years ago. It's called a Prezi presentation. I need all, I'm sorry, maybe you, hello, did you hear me? Everyone from Clark Atlanta University, will you please come forward? Everyone needs to see who was behind the scenes with this. Everyone, please come forward. Professor Yolanda Thompson, where are you? Please come forward. No, I see your hand waving in the back. No, come on up here, Professor Thompson. I actually met Professor Thompson about 2 months ago, and she was just really excited about the project, the things that we're doing here in DeKalb and in Fulton County. And these young ladies that you see before me, there were 6 of them, I believe. Where are the others? Okay, see, just like a student, excellent. You're putting our priorities in order. But we just want to thank you all. They have done a phenomenal job from the beginning to the end. A lot of the media coverage that you saw here, a lot of the ripping and running. They had me ripping and running from interview to interview. They have done just a phenomenal job, so we definitely want to recognize them. So give them a hand once again. Thank you. Thank you. The Fatherhood Planning Committee, will you all please come forward? Actually, we have an honorary individual. We began talking about fatherhood possibly 2 years ago and creating something like this 2 years ago. So Ms. Bola, I saw Ms. Bola Adatoro earlier. Will you please come forward? All the Fatherhood Planning Committee, will you please come forward? Some of them are still back there working. We see you, Ms. Hines. In addition to the fathers that you see on the stools, this is your planning committee. Well, please give them a hand. None of this would have been possible without Clark Atlanta University, and especially the Fatherhood Planning Committee that you see before you. So I thank each and every one of you all. We're missing a few individuals. I don't want to start calling names, but I do. Come on down, Ms. Bowler. I know that Ms. Cockrell was very, very instrumental as well. Ms. Lyles. I'll see you, Ms. Lyles. But I just want to say thank you very, very much. I know that I may have been a little hard on you all, but you know that this is our passion. We have to do this. You know, we have to do this. We have to continue to keep the momentum going. So I just want to tell you thank you very much. Thank you. Finally, Mr. Daryl Green, Esquire. We'd like to thank you for your service, and we want to just give you the small token of our appreciation for providing. Didn't he do a phenomenal job, you all? I appreciate you. And it reads, the first annual Fatherhood Lunch, Master of Ceremony, Mr. Daryl Green.
Good afternoon. This has been an awesome, awesome experience, and I am just overwhelmed, overjoyed, and just amazed. I am Lamarva Ivory. I am the Region 14 Director, and I can honestly say I am so awed and amazed by the turnout from the community, by the outpouring of this panel you have before you, and by the awesome amount of work Region 14, led by Mr. Trimble, have put into this. Can we just give them all a hand? It has always been my vision that Region 14 would be a leader in this state. And I think we have taken a tremendous step forward today. And I was so honored to hear that Region 13 is now going to pick up and roll with this and go forward. And I believe that this will become the standard for the state of Georgia, because we as a state must get behind and rally for our fathers, for our families, for our children. So I'm not gonna stand up here long. I just wanna say thank you, thank you, thank you guys.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. I'm Lawrence Nelson. I'm the director here at DeKalb DFACS, and this has just been a phenomenal experience. Mr. Trimble, come on up here, Adaka. You know, I know he has taken a lot of the credit, well, not taken, he has pushed the credit off elsewhere, but this man has put in a lot of work into putting this together and coordinating it, from little small idea to bringing in the team to making this to what it is today. So please give Mr. Trimble a big round of applause. Fathers are important. You know, I'm going to share a personal story with you guys. I have been in DeKalb since September, and I have spent more time here at the office with a lot of you who work at DeKalb than I have with my. And that's real life for a lot of us. I have 2 children, a 1-year-old and a 3-year-old, and I read to them every night. You know, I tell them I love them every day, and they are my joys. And I'm going to do all the things for them that perhaps I didn't have. But I'm also going to lean on gentlemen like you to give me your wisdom and your experiences, because you all have been through things that that I haven't gone through or can't even imagine that I'm going to go through. But I want to say this to our female co-workers and social workers and to the women in the room. My mother growing up never, ever said one bad thing about my father. He's never paid a lick of child support. He was one of those people that showed up every now and again and wanted to be a Disneyland dad. But my mother has never said one bad thing to me about my father. When I was in college, he got arrested for something crazy. And I ended up helping him get out of jail and get some resources. And he wanted to come to Tallahassee and visit me and spend a weekend with me. And I was in school, and I told my mom, I said, no, I don't want him to come spend a weekend with me. And she said, that's your father. Doesn't matter what he did or didn't do. That is your father. And I want to encourage you all, whether it's you, whether it's someone that you work with, is don't let anyone put a father down, because that is still the dad. That is up to that child to determine whether or not they like him, they love him, they want to be with him. That is their make. And I shared with my employees yesterday. It was an experiment that was done with some monkeys. There was 5 monkeys, and they were in a cage, and they put a ladder with some bananas at the top, and one of the monkeys went up to the top, and as soon as the monkey went up and got the bananas, they poured cold water on all the monkeys. And so that kept happening until the monkeys, no matter how tempting it was at the top, they wouldn't go to the top. So they took out a monkey and replaced it with another monkey. That monkey did what he thought to do. He climbed up to the top, grabbed the monkeys, and the other monkeys beat him up. And so that monkey eventually knew not to climb the ladder, or he was going to get beat up by the other monkeys. So they took out another monkey and replaced it. That monkey came in, went to the top. He came down, and the monkey that never knew about the cold water beat up that monkey. And eventually they replaced all 5 monkeys, and the same pattern continued to happen. Till eventually all 5 monkeys never experienced the cold water, but yet they beat up any monkey that dared came in and climbed that ladder. So I want to encourage you all today that regardless of what you may not have known for the situation that got you in, that things don't have to be that way. You can be the change. You can be the change. You know, you can say, you don't have to say, well, that's just how it's always done, so this is why I'm doing it. You make it be the way that you want it to be. And so today we are starting off different. And so I'm encouraged, and I want to encourage you all. And I want to leave you with this bit of encouragement. I went to Florida A&M for undergrad, and I was in the band, and we did a lot of stuff to get excited. And so I'm going to get excited today because I know Mr. Trimble's going to continue to get us excited. So everybody stand up. All right. Now, everybody clap with me. Clap. All right. And y'all going to sing with me, all right? Here's the song. I'm so glad that I'm supporting dads. Sing. I'm so glad that I'm supporting dads. I'm so glad that I'm supporting dads. Singing glory, hallelujah. I'm supporting dads. One more time, y'all got it. I'm so glad that I'm supporting dads. I'm so glad that I'm supporting dads.